Yeah, the people that died before.
I don't
That's
worry
kind of
about
the point
it.
of
You've
graves.
already left a lot of dead people behind. We just didn't leave graves for them. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam. First up though, we got a couple of comments. We have Mr. Pika Gamer. Sorry, Gamer? Mr. Pika Gamer. I thought it was Gamer, but it's a double M, so it's Mr. Pika Gamer. From the episode Garma Strikes. The gun tank in the original is a significantly older model than the RX-75-1 gun tank we see in Mobile Suit Gundam. This model was made specifically for Project V. Includes the core block/fighter system and replaces the old machine guns with fully automatic BOP missile launchers. It also has improved armor and includes thrusters. It was essentially the Federation transferring what they wanted out of mobile suits to something more familiar.
I mean, it's a retcon, basically. Think about it.
It's a retcon if you didn't watch it in chronological order.
No, I mean, Origins, in many ways, is a retcon because it retcons the idea that. What do you mean it's not?
It's sorry, I don't know why I'm stuttering all of a sudden. It's an alternative universe. It's not actually. The argument is that Origin changes so many things in the prehistory of the show that it's its own alternate reality. It's that's the argument that's been tossed at us in the past before. That it's not a retcon, it's its own thing. I don't know what you would call that. Like, what's the comic thing? It's it's a UC Elseworlds.
Elseworlds, yeah.
But I like this better. I mean, there was more to the comment, but the more of the comment was actually, I don't know. I don't remember anymore. It was hazarding spoiler territory, I guess. I don't quite remember exactly what was said because I have obviously edited it out. But not reading it out loud is a decision that I made at some point. So, but I really liked this gun tank example. Well, I mean, because it gives a reason. I mean, even if it's fan canon, I enjoy the fan canon reason for it.
Yeah.
And it also kind of explains, like, it's something I was thinking about maybe before I read the comment was, I think the 3-part Gundam thing is kind of dumb, but I do kind of like the idea that your ejection seat is a fighter, you know? So it's not like, oh, ejecting, now I've got to go run or something, you know? It's literally, I'm ejecting into a secondary combat vehicle.
Or you're Spider-Man your way to the ground.
Well, I mean, that's what we saw Ramba do.
Yeah.
Even though technically, when I was rewatching to take the notes, as you know, I always do, he technically does the magnetic clip thing right below Amuro's cockpit. So if he had some sort of, like, you know, grapple, like the bat gun thing, right? Or the bat grapple thing, he could have pulled himself up and gotten into a fist fight with Amuro. Which I guess wouldn't have been fair, but I don't know who it would be more fair to. The teenage boy or the old man.
I mean, if he pops up and Amuro does the magic gun trick, then he would have shot him, and you know.
Assuming he's armed in the cockpit, I don't actually know.
I think he is.
We never see it because we don't see him, like, it's almost a bust, but just a little bit below bust level whenever we see him in there. But
I mean, he has to be because otherwise, no, he has to be because remember that episode that they took out when he is in the core fighter and he crashes, he has his gun with him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if this was like Gurren Lagann or something, Rambo would have just went flying up using the momentum of being pulled, punch him in the face.
Yeah. And now break his hand against a helmet.
Yeah.
Another thing.
All right. Next up, we have Garam from Winds of War. I really like this episode. In the world of Gundam, humans are fighting against each other, and among them, even if they are enemies, are the people with a high sense of ethics. And even if they are allies, there are people who are terrible. Before director Tamino created Gundam, this kind of animation did not exist in Japan or any other country. In most cases, the opponents were mysterious aliens or monsters.
Yeah.
I don't know. In that case, they were humanoid aliens or humanoid monsters. Getter Robo and Voltes 5 come to mind, where it's just humans with antlers, or, I don't know, giant, scaly humanoid monster guy.
I mean, yeah, but the implication of these people were not human, and for the most part, they were always the bad guys. Although, I mean, there were situations where that's not the case earlier on, because of Yamato, I think there's a civil war in one of the enemy factions, and there's another alien race that helps out, and
still aliens though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, the same token of like Voltes 5, it's aliens with antlers, the humanoid aliens, but that also denotes a greater galactic civilization sort of thing, because like even that, the dad goes out to like do diplomacy with them or something. Implying, you know, kind of like a Star Trek sort of thing.
Yeah.
So just the fact that they're aliens doesn't denote an inhumanity. Something else has to be given to make aliens inhuman.
Yeah, but the whole idea of being decent people in an enemy faction is not uniquely Gundam. Rarer because the temptation was to make the enemies just monstrous and, you know, purely evil. But you sometimes had some, you know, that one guy who was like kind of like Ramba, right? It was like, oh, you know, I'm not a complete monster here, right? But that's like we talked about it before, saying that was among the named characters, the sort of protagonist level characters, as opposed to the, you know, run of the mill background characters.
Well, I mean, we're both watching. Well, you got the movie version of it, but we're both watching the Gundam Seed. I feel like an old man every time. Gundam Seed around the same time. And again, you got the movie version, but I kind of feel like Waltfeld was a better Ramba than the Ramba that was the original, obviously. Well, because I only for specifically the case of the humanization element that was supposed to have happened in the bar. Obviously, the one I'm talking about, Ramba, where they're offering to buy him food, and it's like, oh, I respect you as a person, sort of thing. Versus Waltfeld, who's like just having a human conversation with him, and oh, turns out I'm actually the bad guy. Time to have a conversation with you about acknowledging who you really are, and the fact that when does a war end, and what do we have to do to people, that sort of thing. In that instance, I feel like Seed does it better, but then, of course, Seed has 20-something years on this version. The evolution of a narrative versus the first instance of it. Well, I was just watching Time of Eve with Rafferty the other day. Should be on YouTube well before this episode comes out on YouTube. But that's a conversation I had with him. It's literally the idea of nostalgia. Oh, thank you for letting me know that was finished. Nostalgia versus improvement over time of a concept. Like Time of Eve does the whole difference between robots or AI and human intelligence pretty early. I mean, 2010s, but I mean, in the realm of like anime, it is a early adoption story thing. Versus today, where somebody who is used to today's anime watches that and it's like, oh yeah, this is an old hat thing. But back then, that was pretty unique. And you might not have been exposed to that idea if you're only watching anime. But you can't, it's hard to give credit to the original thing that does a thing, because it does it so haphazardly. You find when you're watching media, I mean, versus something new that has had that idea leveled out, right? They got all the incongruities, everything that makes it such a weird idea, everything that that one thing had to work on. it's been refined so well over time that, box it and ship it. We have 100 of them out in the movie theaters today. So real cool, that first idea. We've done it 100 times better, and now kids today are being, yeah, I've seen it 100 times. This looks like shit. What are you talking about? What's the first one? We did it better than anyone. That sort of idea. I'm just getting it out there ahead of time before everyone's coming in to defend Rambo Rawl's bar scene versus Walt Field pointing a gun at Kira. All right. Just another one of those things I have 100 words for, and you've got 2.
I mean, you got for example, with that example of artificial intelligence, I always mention this, which is Rosam's Universal Robots.
They make an allusion to that in Time of Eve.
Yeah, and
the model number of the spy basically for the place.
Mm-hmm.
His CPU is RUR. Russell's, but his name. Oh God, I can't remember all of a sudden top of my head. The name is a name of a character that appears in a number of Isaac Asimov stories.
Yeah, well, RUR. It's the play that brings the. In fact, it was the author's brother who created the term robot. Comes from Czech, right? As a server, right? As someone who serves.
I'm pretty sure it's
a
Slavic.
Worker. Czech.
I'm pretty sure it's Slavic.
Slavic. Yeah, well, Slavic includes Czech, Russian, Polish. That's all of them are Slavic.
So what you're saying is that I'm not wrong. So I don't know why we're having an argument.
Yeah, but you're saying Slavic when I'm saying Czech. It's like, why are you saying Slavic if I'm really talking about a very specific language. It's like saying, oh, it's Romance language when I'm saying, I don't know, French.
So you're saying a Romance language?
No, just anyway. And it's actually the first robot. Spoilers for 102-year-old play, over a century now. It was written in 1920. I think it was released in 1921. It's also the first robot apocalypse play story. But you read it and it's not that great. It's a lot of tell don't show kind of situation. So that's why you don't get to. I don't think people have like they are like, oh yeah, we must have this great classic in theaters or whatever. But I think one is almost mandatory reading to understand the basic concepts they're in. Of course, people have done it better over the years, right? So there's that. That's an example.
I mean, that was one again. Another example is one of the things is like Time of Eve goes over Asimov's 3 rules all the time, and Raph was quick to point out the 3 rules are a philosophical debate and were created before computer programming was really a thing. So to use it in a world where you're also showing off computer programming.
I mean, it's why you thought you could shut down computers by giving them a logic bomb, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, you give a contradiction, they will malfunction, and it's like
I literally brought that up as the Kirk thing. Yeah, he's trying to Kirk this computer.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Which I guess in hindsight could have meant he was also trying to fuck the computer.
I don't know, that too.
You never know what you're getting with Kirk. He's gonna logic bomb you, he's gonna fuck you, or he's gonna double hand fist you. No, I don't mean in the fucking way.
Or jump kick you.
Yeah. Or rip his shirt off and roll in the dirt.
Either way. So, it's one of the examples where and that's always an issue of originality, right? If you go far enough back, whatever happens to be the original can be so different from what we know today as to be unrecognizable. And there's no guarantee that will be of good quality, whatever that means, right? And I say it means something, of course, but I mean,
the measure of good quality again. The measure of good quality is a problem of the time, though, because again, if you grew up with Rossum's, then for you that thing is fucking amazing. It's a mind blowing work. What's it compared to? But then you get older, and you're raising your kids, or their grandkids, and they've got their own media, which has refined the concept or invented new concepts around it. And all of a sudden, they're like you. It's like, this is kind of shit. It's like, well, yeah, compared to now, but we didn't have the options. You know? These works came out like once every 10 years. Now, you know, you think back to the 80s, you got like a great movie, what? Once a year? 3 times a year?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Oscar bait comes every year, so.
Well, no, I mean, like, movies came out less. Less movies came out in a year versus today, where, you know, hundreds of movies a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, your options were less. The ideas presented weren't as many, right?
In the 80s sorry about that, until direct-to-video became a thing. Then you had all the slop that came out all the time, you know. But it wasn't, you know, top of the line, you know, movie experiences, you know, movie theater experiences. There were a lot of movies made.
Well, I'm just using it as an example. Yeah. I mean, you know, early adoption printing press sort of shit. You know, how many books were you reading back when the printing press was new? Because back then, before the printing press, you had to have a bunch of well, I guess you were transcribers, but, you know, scribes in general. And then they would only write whatever they could write, because, you know, certain things were outlawed, in which case you had to find a specialty scribe who would, you know. You are of your age, is the thing.
True.
All right, well, before we get into thoughts, I'll bring up the board, because I put some work in to try and change things, I guess. I've made options, so I'll kind of just wait for you to show up.
Because this is the old board, and this is a new one that you built for 79.
Yeah, the only concern I had here was obviously if this was like a Macross. Oh, zooming in, zooming out. There we go. If this was Macross, say, I'd have a bunch of lines connecting, oh, this is this person, this is this person. But Origin, being the only other block, makes that hard, because literally every person up here is someone that will have or has appeared down here. So there would just be a wash of lines coming down from this one to this one. So I didn't really know how to do that. Or if I should. Yeah. That maybe Origin stands alone. As always, I sit in somewhat bated silence, waiting for any commentary to come from you on the board-related matters.
It's just I'm waiting for the board to clear, because it's interesting.
I have to be self-aware enough to know that I ramble at constant speed. So I am in a war with trying to stop myself from rambling before I say something too stupid. And waiting for your input. I guess there's also a third factor of the editor in me also knows that any amount of silent space is something I'm going to have to look for later.
Yeah, I'm just... I mean, it's... Last episode, Rambo. Where's Rambo here? Okay, Rambo Rowell is dead. That's for sure. Clamp is also dead, because he got shot after he put it. Was it Clamp who put the explosives on the window, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, what are kids doing here? And the kid's like, ah, and Mira takes the kids away and explodes. And then I think he got shot because we don't see him again. And it's like, oh, Clamp died. I was like, well,
since we're bringing it up here, I'll read this little thing that I wrote real quick. In Clamp's defense, he can't do anything about the fact that there are children on White Base. From his perspective, that's got to be pretty underhanded for the Federation to use children as shields. Even recognizing that there is a kid on the other side of his explosive, he does yell at her to get out of the way. If you were trying to make Clamp a dyed-in-the-wool bad guy, all you had to do was have him say nothing at all.
That is true. Clamp doesn't come off as being. He comes out being frustrated and shocked, but not as intentionally. Like I want to hurt those kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really weird position to be put in that he's a soldier. He's got a military objective. At the same time, what do you do if the bad guy makes himself a little shield of children around him? Like, I don't blame White Base. I'm not implying that White Base has intentionally put children on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's like neither side can really do anything about this.
That reminds me of, I think it was a picture from an anime of this bad guy who essentially broke into I don't know, it was a maternity ward or
the Joker does exactly that.
Yeah.
Right before he kills Commissioner Gordon's wife.
He straps babies around himself.
You might actually be thinking of the Joker image because it's literally, I think, the most famous one.
Yeah. No, but the face didn't look like a Joker. Unless it was an.
To be fair, only one guy looks like the Joker, so I can't argue with that.
Yeah. So, but it was basically the idea is that if you shoot him and he falls down, kids are gonna get hurt. If you miss, you're gonna hit a kid.
My problem there is that literally the Joker makes that argument too.
Yeah.
If you shoot me, I'm gonna hurt these kids unintentionally, and it's gonna be your fault.
I think somebody else says but you're the one who grabbed the kid, so it's your fault that you did it, which is true.
Oh,
right?
You know what? I might be thinking of something else also from DC Comics. Is that what you're talking about?
I think it is a comic book, but it isn't the Joker. The guy actually was wearing like a
no, I just posted you an image in the.
Let me see. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. Literally, that's the image. That's not the Joker.
No, that is DC Comics though.
Yeah.
No, what I was thinking of, I apologize to the viewers, is more of that. Joker is in an orphanage where he's holding a baby with a gun to the baby and throws the baby to Gordon's wife and then shoots her in the head. And then leaves her dead body in a room full of babies. But no, I think it's probably because I've seen the argument before, or the discussion. Joker versus Baby Armor Man, I think is what it's called. Well, again, it goes to the idea of dyed-in-the-wool bad guy, which Clamp is not one of.
This works against Batman, but in the DC universe, this shouldn't work. Because you have people who are like super speedsters and can teleport and stuff like that. It's like, I just knock you out and grab you. And you go like this, limp, and the babies are fine.
Depends on if they're there. Once again,
yeah.
I think can't remember where that guy comes from, but it's obviously from something. It's not a superpowered individual.
Yeah, it's not Flash or something like that. It's like, I just knock you out and grab you before you even move, right? And prop you up and then take the kids. Or if it's Flash, for example, just takes all the kids and it's like, oh, where did my shield go? It's like, okay, now. Boom.
Yeah, but then again, you can twist that real easy. Like the whole. Sorry, I watched Doctor Who earlier today. So Sarah Jane is the first thing that comes to my head. That's not what I meant. Mary Jane. Where it's just a little quick snap. Boom, your neck's broken. These are babies. Don't want to go super speed with babies.
I mean, there's a whole thing about the Speed Force protecting people. And said, never mind. It's a thing, It depends on who writes it, right? Because it's not Mary Jane. It's what was actually Mary Jane who brought her back? It's what's her name? Gwen Stacy. Yeah, it was Gwen Stacy.
No, I'm not looking up to the air because you said Gwen Stacy. I'm not looking up to the air because you said broke her back. And I very specifically remember the head touching the ground and all of a sudden she was dead.
Yeah, okay. The original comic of Spider-Man is that he's doing the whole thing, stopping it was a car or something falling out of a bridge, and she's falling. He uses his web to try to catch her, and when she snaps back, there goes the neck. The back and neck, and she dies, right? Which is weird because even in other Spider-Man comics, he's done that thing before, and they don't do that. So they chose to, liberally apply physics in order to, real life physics to go like, well, in this case, yeah, screwed up.
Yeah, sorry. The first thing I looked up for it was literally somebody using the movie. I know this is morbid, but help. Does Gwen Stacy's head hit the ground, causing her to die, or does her neck snap like in the comics?
Yeah. Either way. Clamp clearly is not these guys. The Joker or whoever this guy is. Yeah. At least he's not trying to be intentionally.
Like you said, in his defense.
Yeah. And he dies anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, we've lost most of the old crew.
So yeah, that's basically. Oh well, there's also, I guess, I'm going into my notes now. Anyway, we're seeing more infighting, not only in the Sabi family, but also within the ranks of, at least the command ranks of Zeon forces. Like McQueen is perfectly fine to sacrifice Ramba. Like, oh yeah, he'll understand, right? And abuse his loyalty to Zeon to just, use him. Like, oh yeah, I can't have him find out what's going on here, because he would be, ironically, I feel that Ramba got sacrificed not because he could have exposed McQueen's plan to someone else, right? Because he says, oh, when Lady Cassilia rules Zeon, she's gonna need these mines. So I can't have him know about this mine. So I'm gonna what's called Uriah Gambit him into dying. And he's such a good loyal soldier that he's gonna do it anyway.
Since your current thought fits literally one of mine, I was going to read mine real quick and then let you finish before mine becomes completely irrelevant.
Go ahead.
So Caecilia's confusing plots that we talked about before, specifically how she seemed to be playing both Degwin and Giran. McQueen implies that she's aiming for the throne herself. That's the reason he's denying Ramba the Doms, is to sabotage his efforts in order to keep the info on the mines a secret in order to be more useful to Caecilia when she rules Zeon, and to make sure Giran doesn't even know about it. I suppose McQueen is in the best position to play Kingmaker in this situation, at least on a local level, considering that in this instance, communications between the zombies are passing through him, and he's editing the message as he sees fit.
Yeah. But I think because he might be afraid that Ramba might get access to a way to go to space and deliver the message, right? And that Ramba is more loyal to the Zeon cause.
What do you mean deliver the message?
Well, if Ramba realizes that the mines, how the extension of the mines and what they're being used for, and that Lady Cassilia essentially is using them as a power play, his take would be, no, we can't have that kind of division in the military. We got to have all our resources focused on defeating the Earth Federation. So I'm going to tell my higher up, especially the admiral, which they do say, what's his name?
Yeah, the order came from Dosel.
Yeah, the Dosel. Listen, your sister is playing politics here, or at least he might not even blame Cassilia, although he knows about Cassilia. So, according to Origins, he's smart enough to figure out that Cassilia is someone who would try to play these tricks. More, not her, but what's her name?
I don't think Dosel is. I mean, I don't want to.
No,
I don't want to be smart.
Ramba.
Yeah, I'm saying
Crowley knows Cassilia well enough to figure it out. If she gets the information, to figure out what she's trying to do with McQueen, right? And she of course would tell Ramba, and Ramba, being the loyal soldier to the ideal of Zeon, would then tell. He probably won't. He's smart enough to say, "Oh, Cassilia's behind this," but he would say, "Oh, McQueen is behind this."
Well, just to bring up something real confusing that Ramba said during the episode is that he worked for her father.
Or not talking about Cassilia.
No,
you're mixing. You're throwing in.
Don't tell me I'm confused yet. You don't even know what I said, because I said he worked for her father.
Sayla's father.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
We never seen him work for Zeon ever. So
He worked for Zeon all the time. He helped develop the armor and everything else. He was following orders.
We talking about the armor. Zeon was long dead before the armor ever got made.
I'm talking about Zeon.
I'm telling you. Once again, don't tell me I'm confused when you're the one who's confused. You don't know what I even mean to tell me I'm confused. I'm saying that Ramba told Sayla that he worked for her father, Zeon Zum Daikun. Sorry, I'm saying Daikun because I watched too much My Hero Academia. Zeon Zum Daikun. Yeah, yes. And I'm just saying that we've never seen them working together.
Who not working together?
Ramba and Zeon. Daikun. I'm not saying that you're saying anything. I'm saying interesting thing since we're on the conversation of Ramba.
Well, I guess that goes to my point. Well, I think he would say that he and his father were loyal followers of Daikun, right?
Well, that's what he's implying, is that he served her father. There's no question about what that means. He's not saying, I serve Zeon. He says, I served your father. This is one of those Star Wars arguments, right? Your father's not Vader, he changed. No, I'm talking that he says, I served under your father. And we've never saw him with Daikun ever. So.
But I think what it actually means, either way, is that he's loyal to the ideals of the Principality of Zeon. That's where his loyalties are. And that's what her father, if you talk about what his father was, because he helped try to save the kids, right? And of course, his father wanted revenge because he thought that he was the real, who should have been the real, successor to Daikun, right? Because they were of the similar mind, and he blamed the zombies for murdering Daikun, right?
I mean, we've said this in the past, where I think I don't know if I said it to you, that obviously Jimba is Trotsky, and the zombies are, or Degwin is obviously Stalin.
Be Lenin, not Stalin.
Degwin? Degwin wouldn't fucking be. No, Degwin was Stalin. Degwin's killing his competition, propping up the military. Yeah, who were you thinking? You think it's something Jimba?
No, you're talking about.
Yeah, Daikun would be Lenin.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But I think Rambo's loyalty is ultimately to the ideals of Zeon, the nation, right? The independence of Zeon, etc.
I don't think he cares.
I think he does.
I don't know.
I mean, why?
I'm sorry to go back to something you said earlier that we went on this whole sidetrack about already. Is that Ramba and Haemon are only alive because of Caecilia, and I think that it's weird that McQueeve is doing this whole thing so that the information doesn't get out that they possibly know, in that I think their allegiance is to Caecilia, only by virtue of a fact of a deal that they made a long time ago, I feel off-screen, that's allowed them to keep being alive. Once again, you remember when they let the kids go and Caecilia's like, I could just have everything searched again. They don't have to get out of here. You have not won. And she's got the whole armed troops behind her. And it's like, these guys are obviously getting arrested. They're committing treason in front of her. How else could they get out alive if they didn't make a deal?
But they also fear that she would go back on that deal and actually kill them later. The whole looking up the stairs that we were expecting a grenade to come down.
I think that was just us. In fact, I thought it was just me because he didn't comment on it while I was like, because I was thinking Inglourious Bastards.
I mentioned the grenade, though.
No, I mentioned the grenade. I mean, we have recorded evidence. One of us is wrong here, obviously. And I mean, there's recorded evidence. We can just go back. Obviously not during the recording, but in the future or after the recording, one of us can prove the other one wrong. Here's the thing, is we both can also be right in that I've watched Origin 3 times now on recording. I may have said it with Griffin. I may have said it with Justin. And then when we watched it together, all three of us, you may have said it. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I said it. And you said it the third time. I'm like, oh, okay, I thought that too.
Either way, I know. I don't think he would go to Cassilia with this because that would be a moot point. I think he would go to what's his name? Oh, damn it.
Well, I don't think Ramba would go to anybody. I think Ramba is just serving at her will, as it were, in that he's got a deal that keeps him alive. But McQueeve is acting out of turn on her behalf.
I think he would go to Dosan.
Well, Dozel's the one who gave him the orders to get the DOMs. So Dozel's like kind of out of the loop on this, in that subterfuge is happening under his nose. But I think, as I was saying before, I think Dozel's too dumb for this game.
No, I don't think he's part of it. No.
Also, I wanted to bring this up, but you went like immediately into your thoughts section. The board layout. Left-hand side, Zeon. Right-hand side, Federation. I tried to keep it like that.
Yeah.
So that way the red lines that have to crisscross to show you who's killed who or who's antagonistic to who will tend to go left to right, right to left, that sort of thing. And since the Federation is our point of view characters, it tends to be a lot of individual lines on the right going to a lot of people on the left. You know, like Amuro kills a lot of people.
True. What? Is it interesting you put Jason Eckenbach on the Zeon side?
He is a unwilling participant in the Zeon regime, I want to say.
Yeah, occupation, yeah.
Yeah, he's opposed to them, but has to operate under them. It's no different than like in the Legend of the Galactic Heroes thing, where I'll put somebody on the Empire side, but they're clearly in Alliance territory, but a prisoner, or free, or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't have a thing here to highlight who's... like. I think I did when... what was his name? Kozun. When he was a prisoner, I did the red box thing around him to show that he was a prisoner, but obviously...
Yeah.
Now, the show is implying he's dead, but I'm still question marking that. You know, for when they release something new 5 years from now. Kozun's revenge. Because I think he's alive.
Yeah, that's basically my comments on that one.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to bring us back to the board. It's just you were referencing the board, and I had that one thing left that I still wanted to talk about was the layout thing. Because I still have this over here.
Now, according to the next on, we're kind of repeating a storyline that we saw earlier, including.
Well, I mean, that's our supposition. Well, that's my supposition and your knowledge.
Unfortunate that apparently all the blondes get, put in that position of avenging their men.
So that's your type, huh? I don't know. Job John's still alive.
Yeah, but...
a lot of blonde people died last episode on the Federation side. A lot of nameless blondes. Job John was sent right to one of the doors. Kika's still alive. So we're talking about blonde girls.
Don't you mess with Kika.
Well, I wouldn't, for one thing. She's sub 10.
I didn't mean to... Oh, God, I did not mean that at all. Don't go there.
I mean, Sayla's still alive.
He shouldn't be. Ramba said, "Oh, I should have." If Ramba had not recognized her, well, he did disarm. What's her name? Frau as well. So he's against killing.
Well, I mean, it's one of the last things he says is that. What was a soldier forgot to fight? I don't know. Ramba forgot to fight. Yeah. Also, Coley is still alive, as far as we know. A lot of blinds are still alive. I hope I said blondes because I didn't. I heard the word blind come out of my mouth. Haymon's still alive. A lot of people with helmets are still alive. Could be blonde, might not be. Technically, Catherine is still alive, and she was blonde.
Yeah.
But that's just Icelia. dyeing her hair.
Yeah.
Implying that you can just dye your hair and get away from that curse that you're trying to put out there.
And that widow's pick.
Again, as I've stated from Origin, is that her hair starts amazing and then just becomes progressively worse. And you'd think it wouldn't work that way, considering her hair goes from Origin, which gets worse in Origin, but then she goes technically to 79, which might have 80s influence. And that 80s hair, I like 80s hairstyles, but you figure late 70s would be the beginning of the influence of 80s hairstyles, and that people progressed towards them.
The big hair.
Yeah. She doesn't go that way. She has just got horrible hair. So you don't have any other thoughts then?
No.
All right, well, I got more. Obviously, I only try to read out the ones that we're actively talking about, because if you say your entire thought, they tend to be, well, that's everything I wrote down. So I can't just let it go. I swear there is really a difference to the effect of watching these things together than watching them alone. That flash of Ramba remembering his time with Sayla when she was younger was actually very sad in that context, and that shit doesn't hit me the same in that moment when I'm watching it with you. I don't know, I felt really sad. I think I even messaged you how sad that was, which is your notification, oh, he's editing right now. I had to make the thumbnail that image of the episode, though. If you, the audience, wants to go back, you'll see that the first 2 times I reacted to the first episode of Origin, I used that scene in the thumbnail as well. It's sad that that moment stands out to him in his entire life when he sees her, and that it's one of these final memories before the end.
I mean, he did go out of his way to save them both, even if he technically didn't succeed. Well, technically he did.
When you say them both?
Casval and Cassilia.
Oh yeah, then he succeeded.
And Sayla. Yeah.
They're both alive.
Yeah, but Cassilia basically let them go. We just talked about that. So he technically succeeded, but only because of the grace of someone else.
Well, I mean, this would be the normal situation where I would say, at what price? And I'm assuming the price is their loyalty.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ramba was nice enough to assure the bar guy that when they'd engage the enemy, they'd do so outside of Sedan, since it would be neutral territory.
I mean, these are sort of front lines between... Well, no, actually, no. I think they're behind the enemy lines. They've been behind the enemy lines all this time, basically. So
I don't know. Zeon, it's hard to tell. I showed you the Zeon map once, and then where it shows all of Asia is under Zeon territory, or most of Asia, as per your previous argument. And and then in the episode, they say, "Oh, there's a bunch of Federation territory around here," and it's like, where? The whole fucking map was black last time I saw it, and black means Federation. I mean, black means Zeon.
Yeah, we'll have to close in, and it's also a very pulled back world map as opposed to the specifics of. You have to zoom in.
I don't know. That would be pretty hard to dot it full of like Federation territory for what they said to be true. It'd be like one of those. Oh god, you know when you make those pictures where you have to go cross-eyed and pull back to look at to see what they really are, and they're actually just like colored little pixel dots.
Yeah,
you have to do like one of those where it's mostly still black. It's like, oh, I crossed my eyes and pull back. It turns out this whole thing is Federation territory.
I mean, if we zoom in, and well, clearly the mines are still in control of the Zeon, even though they're getting blasted by White Base and the Gundam. But yeah.
Well, no, those are inconsequential mines. Those aren't the main base. Yeah. We've literally seen the main base where, the cannon that we talked about.
Yeah, the giant cannon thing.
Yeah, that thing would fucking take out White Base if it, aimed and shot at it. But, Mira's can do something weird and pull, she's become the expert driver of White Base. That's why I've got a red line for her on the board. She's killed a guy with White Base. No guns. Yeah. Just the engines.
Yeah.
Hayato is the best of the teens He's always coming up with tactics, learning to use all the different systems and manning different stations. Plus, he's technically good at hand-to-hand combat and guns. But then suddenly he pulls an Amuro and runs off, showing that even the best of them aren't above being influenced.
Yeah, the whole running off thing was kind of weird, but understandable as well. In a sort of, hey, actions apparently don't have consequences. We can do whatever we want. Well, fuck you then. We're going to leave. Why should we stay here, right?
That's not what it was. Ryu implies that they're turning their backs on Bright. And their implication is that Bright focuses too much on Amuro, and that they're just going to find a different Federation unit to fight with. So it's not. I know I've written here that they pull an Amuro, but they're not deserting like Amuro did. They actively say we're just gonna. That's why I said before that they're implying that this is Federation territory, that they're gonna find another Federation unit to fight with.
If they can make it that far.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Amuro survived out here pretty well. Didn't write it down, but it was pretty funny to me that Amuro, who's out searching for water, immediately finds a bar and starts eating bread instead of drinking water.
I mean, he doesn't get served water, though.
He's chewing on bread when they come. We see there's a giant thing of water. We don't see him drinking water. He asks for water, then goes to a place and says, I better look for food. He never refers to water. And you don't see him drink water. They offer to buy him a meal. That's the closest thing, and he even rejects that. Amuro's breakdown in the cell, where he keeps insisting that he's the best pilot they've got, particularly when it comes to the Gundam. Look, sure, he's the main character, so that's probably true just due to the writing. At the same time, that much conceit combined with his desertion and all the fits he threw about not wanting to launch in the Gundam in the past, when they were under attack, it's hard to look at Amuro in a favorable light, even when you understand what he's doing or what he does. It's kind of funny to hear Ramba school Amuro on how it was only the Gundam's abilities that allowed him to win, considering that Ramba was on the forefront of mobile suit testing. If anyone would be in the know, it would be him. Both Ramba and Ryu call him conceited. Either way, everyone thinks he'll come to because... sorry, choking up there. Everyone thinks he'll come to because he came back with the Gundam instead of defecting.
I mean, I never really expected... The first time I saw this, I never really expected Amuro to truly defect to the enemy. So that was a thing. That would have been an interesting choice. Oh, the heel turn, right? Amuro joins the enemy with the most powerful weapon in the Federation. What's the Federation going to do? Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, Apocalypse and Superman.
But at the same time, again, I think it's the emphasis that he is, although other people have dealt with this differently, Kai being sarcastic, etc. But I think I understand where Amuro is coming from. I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying that
I know. I already wrote down here. Even when you understand what he's doing or why he's doing it, he doesn't come off favorably.
That's one of the reasons why I like the character in a way. He's not, he's not the boy genius that falls into the cockpit and does everything right. Kind of situation you're seeing in superheroic robots, right? Like, wow, this guy's great, and of course he's going to pilot the giant robot that's going to save the day. He's perfect, right?
I mean, not even super robot things. Like, obviously, I think he's more like, ironically, he's more like a super robot pilot of his own generation. Evangelion ring any bells? Get in the Gundam, Amuro.
Yeah, but I think
you got daddy issues, do you, Amuro? Get in the Gundam, Amuro.
Considering what happens to the what's the name of the Kenichi? Kenichi. No, it's not
got
Kenichi.
Got romance issues, do you, Amuro? Stare at some older women for a bit, Amuro.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's just the example you threw out there. Obviously, I compare him more to Kira Yamato from Seed, in that Kira didn't fucking desert. Kira is basically, for the first half, just Amuro. Just rewritten for a new animation style and a new story. You know, he does the same fucking thing where he cries in his bed. I guess they didn't show that in the movie. He cries in his bed. Same way, because they treat him differently and they expect him to fight and risk his life and all this shit. He doesn't fucking desert, though, because the most important thing to Kira is the people he's trying to protect, whereas Amuro literally steals their main fighting weapon and leaves. Again, that, like I said, it's no way to paint Amuro in a good light for me. But again, I understand what you're saying. You can be a good character and also a shit person. Being a good character is an element of writing.
Broken bird, basically. That's, again, I go back to the fact that he's a teenage soldier, put in a position. Well, he kind of put himself in this position by getting into the Gundam in the first place, trying to help, not understanding the implications of what he was doing. I go back to that short conversation that Tim had with Bright about, if we do our things right, we won't have any to do with, child soldiers, right? Guess what? Your son is about to become a child soldier.
Yeah,
and that's not going to be easy.
They were already a lot of them when he was having that conversation. They said, and Ramba even brings up that they've got children soldiers on their side too, because they said, they must be running out of people when they're commenting on the fact that White Base is full of kids, not just the Kika kids, like the teenage kids, because most of the people that we saw die on the Federation side seem to be teenage age. Yeah. Sorry, I realized the word teenage has the word age in it, and I also wanted to use the word, allow myself to introduce myself. I paused during a scene to write a note, and I'm pretty sure Amuro doesn't wear socks with his shoes.
Okay, he's a penny loafer then?
I'm sorry, does that not freak you out? Penny loafers, you can wear socks with penny loafers.
I know, but people... I mean, in the 80s, he's ahead of the curve. He actually was trying to have a role on Miami Vice. So
I'm saying ahead of the curve. You're not supposed to not wear socks with your shoes. You're supposed to wear socks. I could make the argument, he wears short socks, which I also find disgusting, but he'd still be wearing socks. You wear socks, that fucks up your shoes. One thing, the stench of your foot's going to be burned into those shoes, but also it's going to ruin them. You're in the fucking desert. How sweaty are your feet?
I mean, I don't care either way. So the detail that.
Well, I don't know what to do. How to do? What the fuck, man?
I mean, again,
I grew up in the 80s. How do you not judge people who don't wear socks with their shoes? I'm not saying. Look, maybe you misheard me. I didn't say he wasn't wearing socks with his sandals, which is a whole different argument. You tell me you don't care about people wearing socks with sandals too, huh?
I mean, it's a little silly, but then people wear Crocs, and that's stupid as hell.
You've already judged people wearing socks with sandals more than a person who doesn't wear socks with his shoes.
Have you watched Miami Vice?
I do appreciate the voice cracking. I care about this one enough that my voice is about to crack.
Have you watched Miami Vice?
I've only seen clips. I haven't seen the actual show.
The fashion of the 80s was a lot of those shoes, they didn't wear socks with them.
Okay.
So that's why I say he was ahead of the curve.
I'm a child of the 80s. I'm not in the 80s, though.
Yeah.
I can still look back at Caecilia's hair and his shoeless socks, his sockless shoes, and find them both to be disgusting.
To me, it doesn't... I don't care. To me,
look, whatever. My next note, don't move until Odessa Day. I don't really have much else to say about that. It's something they said, clearly alluding to something in the future. White Base has a standing order not to move until Odessa Day. Considering we don't know where they are, they know how far away from Odessa they are, or if they've even reported back what Amuro did, which may have, made things worse for everybody. I don't mean deserting, I mean attacking a base, which may have raised the defenses of all Zeon forces in the area. Plus, increasing the prototype designs on Xeon's research and development.
I'm sure they're already working on something, considering how difficult the Gundam has been to destroy. They already have goofs, and they may have other designs on the board.
We haven't seen DOMs yet. It's a conversation we already had.
Yeah.
But no, the idea, they're not making a whole lot of new shit because of Amuro. They're pushing their new shit out faster, is what they said. Ryu says there was a time when Matilda said that Amuro might have Esper powers, and Ryu thinks that was a reasonable thing to say about him. Where the hell does that come from? Now in the English dub, Ryu chalks that up to Amuro being a whiz kid. Is there a common saying in Japan that likens being really good at something to being psychic? Because otherwise, that is almost dropping the concept of new types out of nowhere and with no actual information.
Put a pin on that.
Well, I mean, it's not really look, I think we all know that Amuro's a new type. It's not really a pin-worthy thing. I mean, obviously, I can't say what you're pinning here, so that's my problem, is that I feel like this comment isn't worth a pin, because everything should be known, unless we're going to flash back to something Amuro did earlier, and it was like, oh, that dude's a fucking Esper. Like, I don't... Yeah. In which case, I don't know what it would be.
I think it is a sort of trial balloon for what eventually the whole thing with the new types are going to come, which is like they were writing it's like, because at first they went, the Gundam has a battle computer, a learning battle computer, and they kind of abandoned that a little bit. They kind of bring it up with the simulations, but it's not consistent. So now they're going, okay, you can sort of feel the hand of the writer. It's like, how do we justify Amuro still being, the best there ever was? Okay, battle computer, we tried that. Okay, now he's an Esper. Well, that sounds kind of dumb. Okay, so you can see the hand of the writing sort of evolving as they're going on. Remember, this is the first time. This is the first show, so they're making this as
but I don't know. That feels rushed. Like,
it feels clumsy,
it's also the fact she never fucking said that. That's my real problem, is that if they were going to do that, obviously they couldn't do it in the past, because the last time she showed up, she brought data for the Gundam's learning computer. So obviously, if what you're saying is the truth of it, then they've obviously played her hand on the other one. So now the one who's actively helping the Gundam's learning computer is also the one who's now randomly said something about being psychic. So
I think it wouldn't have been so random if she had mentioned it when she was talking about the battle computer. Like, I have new data for it. But by the way, I don't think it's just a battle computer. I think it's Amuro Special or something.
No, I'm saying to what you're saying of the writers changing the tact.
Yeah.
The fact that she didn't say it back then, and obviously you can't change the past. You've already written that out. It's happened. It's aired. Yeah. But you could have, I don't know, communicated. You could have made a communique. Hey, this is from Matilda. Or have her on screen during one of the times that they could actually receive a transmission. And have her say it then. You could have included something. But to have Ryu say, this other character that we've seen before has mentioned this thing. And I, Ryu, think that's pretty good. I agree with that. It's like,
we never seen him talk to Matilda either. So it's hearsay.
Well, yeah, but it's also weird hearsay, because also we've never seen Amuro do anything psychic or Esper related. We all agree that you're probably psychic, and you're just sitting there like, what did I ever do? Was that one time that I guessed that the ball was under the third cup? What's going on here? I just, this is, as you said, this is the first show, and new type hasn't even been said before, right? So if we're building up to it, I just wish it had a more solid base, right? Not like we're writing Star Wars, and in the first movie, we don't know if the Force is really a thing yet, so somebody says something about moving objects with their mind, and then the second movie is 100% force powers, you know? I wish we had a more solid base of what we're working with.
Yeah.
The smartest thing Amuro has said does come from him sulking jerk face, though. Does he really think one angry man can change another person? Really follows the line of thinking of all future Gundam series where violence perpetrated in the name of change is never effective, at least not in any lasting way.
That I have a problem with.
Of
because
course.
it basically says you can't change the system, and revolution is just a waste of time, right? And it's borderline on, if you see injustice, and you don't do anything about it, you're siding on the side of injustice, right? It's like, well, don't try violence. Like, well, they're punching me in the face. Yeah, but you shouldn't do violence.
So you must have really hated Gundam 00.
I mean,
or actually, reverse. You must have really loved Gundam 00. You must also really love Starship Troopers.
No, because ironically, in Starship Troopers, violence is ultimately the
answer to everything.
No, it's perpetuated by the state.
The school teacher, rather, is what I'm going with. I guess technically, as far as I can, well, I didn't read the book, but I have watched a number of breakdown videos about the differences between the book and the movie, and apparently the school teacher role doesn't really change. The references do. So
yeah, but also we talk about violence because here's the thing. We talked about this before with Zeon, right? Zeon has a right to defend themselves. Zeon has a right to declare independence. And if need be, Zeon have the right to use violence against an oppressive government. So yes, an angry man could change things. And my argument was that's fine up to they cross the point of nuking half of the planet, right? There are lines that can be crossed. And I think some people confused. I mean, can I put it this way? It's a matter of degrees. Violence should not be the first. So it should be the first thing to do. But when everything else is exhausted and you are the victim of violence, you have at least a right to defend yourself. So one angry man.
I'll say that we're coming at it from two different angles.
Yeah.
In that when I said that it's the smartest thing he said, I'm coming at it from the angle of Gundam Seed. The discussion that happens in Gundam Seed is that individuals, on an individual level, you're talking about justice in a larger scale, and that governmental justice, like when you see the government cracking down on people, does Zeon have a right to defend itself? I'm talking about individuals, where Amuro says, does he really think one angry man can change another person? And Seed is asking, if I commit harm against you, how can I not expect you to try to commit harm against me? If you kill my daughter, I'm going to try and kill you. It's a interpersonal level sort of thing. So when he says, how can one angry man really change another person? Or how does he expect that to? I'm coming at it from the personal level that Seed asks when it comes to that. I think it becomes completely different. In the same way that a corporation has the right to vote like a person does, that a government can be expected to react in the same way that its people do. Large organizations of people are not the same as people.
True.
In the same way that Big John, or whatever his name was, the good Zeon, does not represent the entirety of Zeon.
Yeah.
Nor does the entirety of Zeon represent him.
Yeah. Okay, I think we gotta separate because I was talking about revolutionary change.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is that you're talking big picture, and I'm saying that I'm taking Amuro's quote to mean individuals. Because you can change a lot of individuals on an interpersonal level, but when you're talking about like revolution or just standing up to the government or even local, like standing up to your police department, that is large scale shit. You're not sitting down with an individual police officer one-on-one and changing their mind. You're acting as a a large group to change a system, and that is on a different level of concept than what I'm taking Amuro's quote to be.
Depends. I mean, one could argue that Amuro, as a very angry person, is changing. Well, of course, he has some.
Well, no, he's referring to Ryu. That's when Ryu punches him in the face. That's what he's saying. How do you expect one angry man to change another person? In that Ryu coming in here and beating me up doesn't change how I feel. It's reflected in, like, when Bright punches and slaps him around. Amuro doesn't change his mind because one guy got violent against him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes into what could we call either the steadfastness on one hand or the stubbornness of Amuro, right? I will not admit that I'm wrong, and you punching me in the face is not going to change that, right?
Right, but imagine for a second, and this has to be imagined. This has to be imagined because Amuro is frequently fucking wrong. But imagine if Amuro was right, and the opposite was still happening, that you're still being beaten to be proven to admit that you're wrong when you are right. It's still the same maneuver. Like an interrogation or a torture, rather. Imagine you're being tortured to make your right opinion wrong. It's still the same effect. You don't want to be changed for that reason.
I mean, there's a difference between thinking and acting, right? In this case, it's one and the same. But one could argue you could use violence to force people to act, even if their thoughts haven't changed.
Well, yeah. Arguably, a lot of people do. Every I don't know how to say, every hidden racist, for example, who operates in a society where racism isn't the norm, but still holds to their beliefs that racism, whatever racist thought they have, is the truth, is acting outside of their own beliefs due to the societal norm around them. Again, it's another argument I would make towards your statement of changing systems through violence versus changing people, is that a system tends to be held down through the societal norms of the people around it. That organizations are different from people. People also joined organizations not because of their own beliefs, but for their own well-being. It's better to be in a government that aids its citizens if you're a citizen in aid, even if you disagree with the government's positions on lots of things.
Yeah.
Survival matters. All right, moving on to that subject. Ramba says that his old specialty is guerrilla tactics. I guess that's something he's either developed in the last several months or before the start of Origin. Primarily, we've seen him studying mobile suit combat, and before that he was operating in space. I guess one could argue that he's just blustering, considering the fact that despite his specialty, he kind of failed pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe he got pretty close to taking down the white base. He failed ultimately because he hesitated, right? But his tactic worked. Right? Infiltrating the white base worked up to that point. It took heavy casualties, and considering that he didn't have a lot of resources, it was a bold and, I could argue, effective plan. It's just that at that moment when he saw Celia, it was like, oh, princess. And then that gave Ryu the opportunity to, blast him, with a machine gun fire. Otherwise, he would have succeeded, right?
All right, well, maybe me saying that he failed was not a good capper on the argument. More so the fact that he says that he's a guerrilla specialist, and we've never seen that to be true.
That is true. Otherwise, I would think that he would have, launched a campaign against the zombies, right? If he had been, he had a good following. I mean, his family was
probably he never had the opportunity to do that.
If you're an expert in guerrilla warfare, you find and exploit the opportunities.
Well, I mean,
he never did.
When I was saying he didn't have the opportunity to, I meant that his main focus was keeping the kids safe and the mom
and his father.
Yeah, but then immediately he gets captured afterwards, and then Caecilius got him under boot. Assumedly, that's what really happened. So, at that point, he had no real choice. I mean, unless he wants to go First Blood on their asses, in which case, cool, I'll watch that movie.
Yeah.
Ramba Raw, First Blood.
Yeah.
Where he gets captured by Cassilia and then starts his whole urban warfare campaign on Munzo.
I think that would be very cool. I would certainly watch that.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's just the Rambo First Blood movie. It just takes place on Munzo.
Mm-hmm.
All right, time for some math.
Okay.
They indicate that they have 13 soldiers at the bar, ordering 14 meals for all their men as the last meal before the big battle, one of those being for Amuro. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear. They say it's for all their men for their last meal before the big battle.
Yeah, but I think they were saying 13 because they were now counting Hammond as Lady Hammond. They were
counting both Ramba and Hammond because they were both there. I mean, if you want to say there's a variance of +1 or 2, it's fine. It doesn't really change my math.
Yeah,
there's a bigger problem at play here. But you do agree that they said 13 meals for all of my men for the last battle, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Stretch dies in the Zaku, leaving 12 or 14. Depending on your numbers, if you're counting Ramba as being eating or Hammond is eating. I'm going to say 12. Include the +1 or 2 on your own side.
Yeah.
We see 2 people in the gallop, Hammond and the unnamed man, plus 1 soldier in the remaining Zaku. Then 10 people are hanging off the back of the Q. It's Q, right?
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, no, I'll handle that. I'm just not pronouncing the word right because I've written it down and now I can't remember how it's said.
Yeah.
All right. With Ramba and another person on top. So now we have 15 soldiers. There are 2 Qs, so conceivably there might even be 27 soldiers now. Remember, there's 13, but now we've seen 27. Sayla shoots one of the Zaku's heads off and it falls over, but we know that's not how you kill a Zaku. And that's not where the pilot's at. Nor does it explode. Conceivably, that dude's still alive. We get 1 shot off the back of the queue. Then another guy gets shot out of midair before he can land. So now we're down to 13 or 25. Or you're 15 to 27. Once they blow the bridge open, it looks like one guy just lands too hard and dies. By the way, you've got to rewatch that. I've watched that scene like 3 times. I have no fucking idea what happens. He lands. It's like a normal landing, and he just falls over. No gunshots or anything. While the other guy gets shot charging towards Hatch 78. Amuro shoots a guy off the edge of the ship. Bright shoots a guy wrestling with Amuro. Then Amuro spears at least 2 soldiers to death with the Gundam. Of course, Ramba then blows himself up, leaving the possible count of the original 13 soldiers to be anywhere between 16 to 18 remaining.
Well, the assumption there is that the people were with the and it wasn't a Saku, it was a Goof.
No, it was a Zaku.
A Saku.
The Goof dies. The Goof is destroyed before this episode.
Yeah.
They have 1 Zaku remaining because they also didn't get resupplied with Doms, as we already know. So this is their last Zaku out of the 2 Zakus and a Goof that they had left.
That's the entirety of the unit.
They said the last meal before the battle.
Yeah, of these people.
Of a whole unit.
They may have more.
Well, 1, arguably they had more. They had at least 27. But that's not what he says. He says, all my men, 13. Their last meal. It's either that or Ramba's a fucking asshole. It's like, I'm going to buy last meals for all of my men before the big battle. Only half of them, though.
All of them are here. Let's see, brings them everybody because there don't seem to be enough bikes, vehicles, and truck space for all of them unless they were hanging out in the back of the truck.
I don't know.
Yeah, we only see the truck with the
also apparently the Gallop only requires 2 people to operate.
Yeah, and also we saw a guy in a motorcycle, so there could be more guys on motorcycles. Yeah,
he dies in the Zaku.
Mm-hmm.
So we literally specifically know what happens to the guy on the motorcycle.
Yeah, so that's it. So we don't see any other motorcycles or vehicles. The only vehicles we see seem to be abandoned.
So you were agreeing then that Ramba's just a fucking dick.
No, I just saying that
meals for all of my men, except for half of them, which will die starving.
Who are not there. I think he can only pay for a meal for the people that were there.
They literally can't be that far away, considering that we then get into a scene where he's like, I found the white base, and we see both trucks and the Gallop are right there.
So how many people per truck?
Well, I don't know. We don't know how many total showed up for the fight at the end, which is 27. I mean, I don't know what you're leaning your head like you're indicating something. I'm like, I don't know. I don't hear the rocks in your head.
What I'm saying is, he just said, I think he just meant the people that were just there. He was like, oh, by the way, send a call, bring everybody here. We're gonna have,
yeah, he's a bad middle manager. I'm gonna have a pizza party for all the men around me. Fuck second shift.
Well, they're not here.
Yeah, even though they're literally just probably outside of town, considering that once we leave here and find out the white base is nearby, we're all here. Okay, it's a dick move then. It goes from being an inaccurate numbers reading to a dick move from a middle manager. You know, where I'm going to buy Christmas dinner for everyone here. But I mean everyone here, not everyone that works here. Night shift is getting their own fucking thing. They deal with Christmas on their own.
I work night shift. That's not far from the truth, I would tell you.
Well, here's the thing. So I used to run the warehouse, and I would order pizzas for everyone there myself. So
yeah, I worked in a lot of night shifts and stuff like that. It was like, oh yeah, the day shift got that. It's like, yeah. Is there anything left? No.
Check the fridge.
Like, yeah, check. Yeah, like fuck it. Damn it.
Anyway, that's who Ramba is. So
a bad middle manager. That's why he blew himself up.
Stupidly, Sayla says the Gundam's weapons are too powerful to use on the commandos boarding white base. All I can think of in that scene is Suletta in Witch from Mercury slapping a guy into red paste with the Gundam's hand. Seems poignant considering the number of times they show us the commandos landing on the outside of the white base, unable to get inside.
I mean, I don't think it's stupid, though. I mean...
It's stupid. She could have just killed people. Whack-a-mole, those Zeon guys.
Still could have damaged the outside of the base, though. You know, it's a giant robot hand just slapping the shit out of the side of the base.
Don't go full strength. Literally, it's a giant robot hand. You could, dead. There's a guy who lands too hard and dies. Do I need to bring him back up?
I don't think that he has that kind of fine motor control when it comes to the Gundam, does he?
Oh, you know what? Then don't slap him. Just swipe them off. Just swipe them off. You know?
Yeah.
And yes, I would assume they do have fine motor control. How many people have been picked up by the Gundam? This is the Macross Frontier egg scenario. Ramba slaps the gun out of Fra's hand and threatens to kill her if she carries a gun, then turns his back to her and runs down the hall. Fra now has all the time in the world to pick up the gun and shoot Ramba in the back. Instead, she goes off on remembering out loud who this guy is, forgetting for the fact that based on the scene we just saw, she's standing next to 2 of her dead comrades that are also holding guns. Plus, there would be a dead comrade lying down the hall in front of her.
Yeah, Fra is never seen as a particularly good combatant, right?
She was holding a gun before. She was going to shoot him until he slapped it out of her hand. By the way, he doesn't stop to pick up any guns, so we know it's still there. But the 2 guys at the scene just before we saw, literally, because they shoot the guys at the end of the hall, then we see Ramba go down the hall, so that's where he runs into her. So 2 assault rifles of some description. are also laying on the ground.
I mean, she might be, like I said, she's not a very good combatant. I mean, the best she can do is as a babysitter and, does the meat. She's like the morale officer of the ship. That's her job.
I mean, not
So
for
she doesn't have a
nothing,
gun.
but to your own argument, she's also nowhere near the kids.
At this time, yeah. I think that would
They're
have
on
been
the bridge about to get blown up by Clamp.
Yeah. So overall, yeah, Fra has never been shown to be someone who is adapted to the situation.
I'm thinking it's a Daikun curse now to get recognized, and the person that recognized you gets killed. Ramba is following in the fine tradition of Lino.
Oh, there's also the fact that you get murdered by that good family. There's a difference between, oh, I recognize you, I'm going to kill myself because I failed, to,
There's no
oh,
difference.
you recognize me.
There's no difference in the fact that both of them recognize them and they're now dead. I didn't say what the method was. That's why I called it a curse. Because otherwise, if Sailor is just like, oh, you recognize me, bam, shoots his head off, that would be a different. I wouldn't call that a curse. I would call that a habit.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, as there were a lot of gunfire happening, but Ryu and Bright are both in a position to have heard Ramba call Sayla Princess. I'm pretty sure they were both present at the time Sayla tried to have a private conversation with Kuzan as well. Feels like suspicion ought to be mounting at some point. Now, to be fair, Ryu has other concerns at the moment. You know, unless he wants to make his dying words. Did he just call her a princess?
I mean, the fact that Rambo Rao didn't shoot, he didn't shoot the first woman that he met in combat. And then he shoot the second woman he met in combat. So, being, I don't know, chivalrous?
Chivalrous.
Chivalrous, yes. Might be a thing.
Well, I'm not even talking about the fact that, hey, why wasn't he shooting you? I just mean, I think they were in range to have heard him say the words princess. I mean, to be fair, it'd be easy for Sailor to say, oh, he was a misogynist. Just say,
he called princess, yeah.
Did he call you that, Pra? Oh, you did, something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, not for nothing. Anyway, those are all of my thoughts.
Okay. I have no more. So
all right, well, just go ahead and hop on into it.
Yep.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Still, Rumbarell's death is sad, even if I've just made fun of him for a good 15 minutes.
Double checking that my audio is Japanese, yes. Although,
well, I don't know, I'm hearing you in English.
I mean, talking about the video.
I mean, I checked that earlier.
Have it. Yeah, I'm double checking. Although, the intro will still be in Japanese, I think.
Yeah.
But when it starts a video, it's like, oh, it's English. You're like, what? Oh, what the hell?
Well, I've commented a number of times now that when I watch this with you, obviously I'm watching it in Japanese because I want to react to it in its normal, what we normally would be watching it in. When I'm not taking my notes, I listen to it in English just because what other chance would I get unless I'm going to rewatch this whole series just to watch it in English?
To me, if I choose one or the other and I switch back, it just feels odd for me. It's like it just.
Oh yeah, I got that with One Piece where I had to make the switch because the translation is like 200 something episodes away from where the show actually is. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm getting both versions of it that I could get. I just think it's funny sometimes that they're not actually saying the same thing in both versions of the show.
Yeah, I mean, translation is tricky. It can be tricky.
At least we're not doing the mid-air change-up thing again.
地球連邦軍はこの基地を叩くオデッサ作戦の準備を着々と進めていた。ホワイトベースはこの作戦に参加すべく西へと進んでいたが、ランバラル隊の攻撃はまだ。
Funny, due to 86, I went and studied on what map and icons mean in actual military jargon. I don't remember anymore, but I had a whole notepad filled.
I think those are divisions, division size.
Yeah, because they don't have like battalion markers or markers based on size or intent.
Yeah.
Or actually situation.
That was a Black Sea. Because that's you basically the fighting.
We kind of already had that discussion specifically when it came to the Xeon map and what part of Asia it didn't cover. Wow, Heyman, you got a type. Old fat white men. Well, Tachi, what are you doing out here? Is that supposed to be Tachi? Is that the Tachi we know?
It doesn't look like him.
Yeah, but neither does Ramba. Ramba didn't look like the Ramba we knew. I mean, specifically, we had a commentary before about that's not safe.
No, it isn't.
About the fact that names don't often get reused in these shows. In fact, it is so weird to have another character named Tachi that if that's not our Tachi, that would be the third character named Tachi. No other name is repeated yet.
Yeah.
We've got Intelligence Officer Tachi, we got a child named Tachi, and now a Xeon guy named Tachi.
Yeah.
Did he bump his head? We know he got shot like a couple times in the chest, but where's the head thing coming from? Oh, don't switch sides now. It might be your last chance.
ギャロップの予備のエンジンでかなり高速移動ができます。ザクにはマザラトップの手法を持たせます。それとサムソンの2機です。兵は16名。すべてランバラル様の息のかかったものです。
Obviously, they got resupplied. That or they repaired the Zaku somehow.
地球に降り立ったものの、我々はまだ任務を終わっておりません。一見小さな作戦ではありますが、敵は連邦軍の最新鋭戦艦とモビルスーツです。ジオンの国民は我々の戦艦に期待しております。ランバラルは私にもったいないくらい実直な男性だった。あんな心を寄せてくれた人のために余震分、砂漠で散るのも後悔はない。この作戦に不服がある者は参加しなくとも、ランバラルは怒りはしません。
That's a trick.
私もです。
その心配はございません。
They have real internal dialogue while also giving a speech. Think about it. Try giving a speech in your head and a speech out loud that's not the same speech. Fuck. Now I gotta take a picture of that guy. I'll say if that scene went on longer, the Xeon half of the board would have gotten filled out pretty quick. Also, I guess that implies that Heyman at some point actually became a Zeon officer.
I think she always was because she had to be. She clearly in origin she had special skills.
Yeah, but she was faking being an officer, specifically on the Federation side.
Maybe that's part of the arrangement with Cassilia, right? Work for me and officially work for me, right?
Hopefully, someday they'll say something about it. I hate that we're referring to Amuro as a tiger that has to be tamed. Again, we're doing the thing that anime has been doing forever, which is sucking up to the main character. He's getting the Naruto treatment before Naruto was a thing.
I guess she did take a liking to Amuro.
If you were going to say, if she said something about being an Esper, now would be the time to do it. Now that we're in weird flashback dream territory. Oh, that's better. I think I'm less affected by Ryu clearly dying on screen by the fact that I kind of thought he was already dead. Well, they wheeled him away at the end of the last episode, remember? He was on a stretcher. This is what a fine person looks like.
ギリの戦法です。昔から伝えられております最高の突撃攻撃法であります。第一波の攻撃を敵の最も弱いと思われるところにかけます。他には一切目を向けず、ただ一点を抜く。我々の生還は不確実でありますが、間違いなく木馬を撃破することができます。
I don't know. Twice now you've indicated the White Base's weak point was its backside.
I won't let you what?
Technically, it's all they really got. I will never recognize Job John if he's in a suit. That does not look like Job John at all. Where's Hayato at? Oh, that is Hayato. Fuck, sorry. He's on top. Well, I was used to him. He was in the bottom last time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the rank structure around here?
A mess. That's what it is.
Well, I would have thought Sailor would have been above Ryu, but I guess not.
私も責任を取るわ。教えてください。
F36 タイプ。
That's a really... I understand when they say I'll take responsibility, but I didn't expect them to be like, I'll actually take responsibility. Well, I mean, I thought the thing was Ryu saying to Sayla, get him out of there, I'll take responsibility. That Sayla would then just get him out, not call Bright.
Yeah.
木だね。案の定自由には動けねえ。ランバラル隊のしぶとさ見せてあげよう。
Oh, now it's not the drama revenge team. The episode does feel like it's rolling along pretty swiftly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel
Even
like
with
it's been
Ryu.
half an episode already.
Even though Ryu is bouncing back and forth.
123番は全く出力が上がりません。構わん。未来。
Two attacks focused on hitting the back of the gun, the white base, I guess, have actually done something.
大丈夫のはずです。
I mean, they said they could.
メカマンがみんな怪我をしていて修理が動けばいいんだ。
アムロ。
ともかくコアファイターで出ます。修理中でガンダムにドッキングしていないんです。
了解したわ、アムロ。ホワイトベースが発信するかもしれないけれど、いいわね、アムロ。
大丈夫です。
ブライト、未来、コアファイター出ます。よろしい？
やらしたくなくてもやるんだろ、セーラ。
ブライトさん。
ガンダムでなければ立ち向かえんと。
Maybe this is why Lieutenant Reed was such an asshole. Y'all just gonna fucking do what you want anyway. Court martial.
Yeah, the people that died before.
I don't
That's
worry
kinda
about
the point
it.
of
You've
graves.
already left a lot of dead people behind. We just didn't leave graves for them. Remember all the old people that ran out of the ship that Char shot dead? Didn't see the graves getting dug there.
できるだろう？手引き書には書いてあるようだけど、やったことないんだ。誰だってそうだよ、ホワイトベースでは。あとは何とかする。わかった、やってみる。
We're all a bunch of idiots on the white base.
軍人の本職だろうにさ。アムロ、
Also, don't worry about it. I've literally practiced this 17 times now.
Oh, true.
これ以上ホワイトベースに触らせるものか。
Give it a chance to hit something. White base will always scrape into something.
Mhm.
はい。
ヘルメットだけはするんだ。耳をやられる。
はい。
ガンタンクが故障だと？未来、ホワイトベースはこのまま動けんのか？
浮力がつきません。ハイパーマグネットが。
Buoyancy.
ガンダムパーツを発射しろだと？アムロが言ったのか？リュウさん、あなたは動いちゃダメです。一番の重傷なんですよ。
ホワイトベースがやられちまえば病気だ怪我だって言えるかよ。
そうですが。
Everything I've ever said in counter argument to Amuro not getting in the
リュ
Gundam.
ウさん、どうするつもりなんですか？
ガンタンクを動かさにゃならん。ホワイトベースが引っかかって
And they were just fucking waiting for somebody to come out that door.
できなかったところだ。
ようやく一気か。全く出遅れた。アムロ、ガンダムバースの発射ができそうだ。いいか？やってください。コアファイターの弾は撃ち尽くしました。ガンダム B バース発射するぞ。
Yeah, I was about to wonder how that was going to happen, considering they're on the ground.
チェンジ。レーザーセンサーキャッチ。180度ロール。姿勢 OK。いけるか？
Well, thank God no one's out here to shoot at us.
よし、オムルさん。
Can you imagine one bullet being lodged in the wrong part would fuck this all up? You have to think this is a complex machine.
Yeah. One hit. That's what it would take, yeah.
I mean, if you're worried about like misalignment or anything, just a bullet just gets lodged in a circuit board or something. Wait, you only had one Zaku before. He shot in one direction, there was a Zaku over there. He did turn and fired in the other direction, there's a Zaku over there.
格闘戦に持ち込むしかないのか。待てよ、これは特攻するつもりじゃないのか。とすれば、あの中は爆薬でいっぱいのはずだ。ダメだ。
This is a tactic we haven't seen before. Oh, that thing must be 18 meters tall.
こしゃくな。ガンダム一機でそれが止められるものか。木馬にぶつかればその中の爆薬。
Well, where's the gun cannon right now?
タッチ。ガンダム
Or I guess the gun tank, because we know Ryu's going out there, so we must be trying to think about where that is.
上からできるか。
Oh, thank God Amuro studied in Gundam martial arts, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Mobile suit martial arts.
Yeah. Otherwise.
Oh, MMA. Let's put that
Yeah.
together. Amuro's an MMA fighter. Who'd have guessed?
Yeah.
I would put that down to Hayato.
アゼラトップだけを狙えるわけがないだろう。
いくら装甲の厚いガンダムといっても、これだけ近ければ持ちは。
It's hard to imagine these things hovering, but I guess they can.
木馬をも。
I mean, if they have
モ
to
ンさんか。
look back to the tank, they have to hover.
好きだったよ。もう。これでおしまい。
There it happens. There it goes.
竜え、何。
早くしろ。コアファイターが誰だ。あ、そうか。エンジンの片方をやればホバークラフトなんだから。この。
Here's the thing. Not shocked. Only because I've seen that in an AMV before, but I had no idea who was on it. So obviously Ryu went out there, so obviously I knew Ryu was gonna be the one.
Yeah.
I didn't know Hamon died in that though. So that was surprising.
もう敵はいませんか。
戦いは終わったわ、ハムロ。ガンダムは
You've literally killed most of the people we cared about in
ファイ
Origin.
ターに乗ってたの誰だったんです。
驚かないでね。アムロ。竜よ。竜が体当たりをして。
竜さんが。嘘ですよ。竜さん怪我してて戦いに出られるわけないでしょ。やだな、セイラさん。僕が殺したも同じです。
This is everyone's ugly cry moment.
竜さんだって死なないで。
彼、お前より俺の方がずっと慣れているんだ。
動かないんですよ。
バカ野郎。
Yeah, I was saying they didn't really explain how he got into the core fighter, so that works.
ファイターだけでも使えるだろう。度胸しろとめ。
僕が竜さんの発信を認めなければよかったんです。
Yeesh. Everybody's got a little bit of guilt here. I mean, actual guilt.
竜さん、体は大丈夫なんですか。戦力は無駄にできんのだ。アムロのことで俺は奴に心配をかけすぎたのかもしれん。いや、そうでもないぜ。ね、未来さん。奴は変わってきましたよね。それよりも
Because I think the thing is that Ryu was just one of the guys.
Yeah.
Ironically, I guess he was a grown-ass adult, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was easy. He's the only soldier, really experienced soldier that the White Base had. Sure, it was one mission, but he had gone through that.
Yeah, I know.
That.
He had a question mark on his head for a lot of the board's existence because he just went lost in space for a bit. But I just meant that he's a grown-ass man who was with the children most of the time because they had all the same jobs that he did.
勘弁してくれ、リュウ。勘弁してくれよ。な、俺たちこれからどうすりゃいいんだ。リュウ、教えてくれ。教えてくれんのだな。もう。
ブライトさん、やめましょう。ジオンを倒すしかない。
I mean, I think the most helpful element of this is that everybody feels the guilt for it. When everyone has the same feeling, it helps you get over it faster.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, who's left? Oh, come on, fuck off with the mid-air docking shit. Not everyone. Sorry, I know it's not the episode to be flippant in, but I've already fucked up by being flippant through most of it. So, here's my thing. I forgot what my thing was. Oh, no, sorry. Here's my thing. It is a stupid idea to, hey, let's pay off the mid-air connection thing to sell that toy with the episode where a guy dies and everybody cries. Well, this is the first time they actually employ the mid-air docking thing for an actual combat use.
I think they did it with the gun parry before, I think.
No, they were testing it with the gun parry.
Yeah.
This is actually using it in combat.
Oh no, I'm misremembering something.
Yeah, so this is the first time they did it. So, and we all know that was a toy selling move. So let's pay off the toy selling move. So we know the kids are going to be real interested in this episode. So let's sell that toy. Oh, and have them watch when the emotional heart character dies and everybody cries. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is a bad combo of events. Also, since we got the kids watching, let's have the woman talk about her dead love in a motivational speech that she's going to give to her soldiers, which are all basically going to commit suicide. It's a good episode for the kids, since we know they're going to be watching and want to sell a toy this episode.
And they were basically going to kamikaze the White Base with explosives.
Good message.
Yeah.
Ah, jeez. A lot of people dead. Look, instantly my thought was I feel like Bright was the one who had the least blame of all, but then again, he's the commanding officer, so all blame falls uphill when it's directed. So obviously, I felt that emotion come up in me and then instantly suppressed because everybody, that's why I said everybody has a little bit of guilt here. And when I say guilt, not the guilt that's making them cry, the guilt that caused a man's death. Everyone just kind of let him do every step along the way. Assumedly, someone out there is crying because they let him get into a Jeep.
Yeah.
Conceivably, though, he didn't even need to get into the core fighter because we've seen that the Jeeps can fly.
Yeah, but I think he wanted the core fighter because he needed enough mass to do what he wanted to do. I don't think the Jeep would have.
Well, I don't think he was planning to ram. conceivably, there's no idea why he rammed him in the first place. The only core fighter we know that didn't have ammo was Amuro's. The core fighter that was in the middle of the gun tank should have had ammo in it still. So, why did he choose to ram? Unless he was committing suicide. Maybe he's like, oh, I'm in too much pain.
Or he thought he would hit Amuro if he used weapons.
So let me fly at full speed into the situation. You know, instead of 1,000 tiny bullets, which, by the way, have never hurt the Gundam before, let me fire one giant bullet and hope that I don't miss in my current state. I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, and obviously since I'm so emotionally detached to the situation, why the fuck did he not fire a bullet?
Or missiles.
Or any weapons that the core fighter has, other than the core fighter itself.
I mean, he was carrying a giant death flag throughout the episode, so I guess it was a matter of, not a matter if he's going to die, but how was he going to die?
Right. No, I mean, I understand the death flag thing. Yeah, that was clearly red.
Saving Amuro and the white base.
It would have just been easy. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten the crying scene at the end, but for me, if he shot down the thing, landed, and then everyone goes to congratulate him or they're concerned about him and he's just dead in the cockpit, would have been just as sad. Dude still would have died, still would have gone out a hero. Would have not made him look like an idiot.
And destroy one of the core fighters that the white base needed. Because now, unless they have more of them.
Yeah, I guess the gun cannon doesn't have a core fighter. That's one solid unit.
Yeah.
Right.
No, all of them have core fighters. The gun cannon.
I don't remember ever seeing the gun cannon split in half.
Yeah, but I think all of them are adapted to have the core fighter. That's the thing.
That's
the idea. I said you can swap core fighters between the three of them.
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't think I've ever seen the gun cannon in half.
Yeah,
implying that it's never. Because that would also imply that Kai is a good pilot. Because Kai is always the one piloting the gun cannon. So I don't think the gun cannon is core fighter operable. I think they only have 2 core fighters, or they only had 2 core fighters. Now they only have the 1.
Yeah.
Which means that you now have to pick and choose if you want the gun tank or the Gundam out there.
The core fighter could transform into configuration named the core block, which serves as a core for the cockpit of the RX-75-4 gun tank, the RX-77-2 gun cannon, and the RX-78-2 Gundam.
The pedantic in me wants to argue that I don't know the number of the gun cannon. But also, I don't want you spoiling that. So, yeah, this is one of those weird things where I don't get into technical manual arguments because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Which I've proven in all of my other Gundam reaction shows where someone will argue with me what can and can't happen during the show because of the technical manual, and I'm like, don't give a fuck. I'm going on what I see on screen. They take all these shots on screen, and you're telling me that this shot's going to destroy them. Why?
We do see the Gundam is taking even bigger hits this time around. Yeah, an axe to the back, got the backpack shot up. One more shot would have hit it and destroyed it.
It does seem weird that the whatever they're called, DOPS, are they DOPS?
No, those are the tanks. They're something else.
I think these are actually called DOPS too.
No,
because they're part of the tank. They're not the fighters that look like them are actually separate. These are part of the tank, and the tanks are called DOPS. So jointly they're called DOPS, I believe. Anyway, we've seen that that blast hit the Gundam before, and it didn't hurt the Gundam in the past. Now it just blew its shield in half, and then apparently it was about to rip its back wide open.
No, the DOP is the pure fighter, not the tank.
Well, I don't know what the tank is called.
Yeah.
I know I specifically, in the past, tried to look up the name of the fighter on top of the tank, and all I get is the tank name and the wiki doesn't list the fighter as a separate thing at all. It just has the tank's name. Or it even doesn't list like a different entry for that element of the tank. Anyway, my point being is that we've seen the Gundam take those shots before, and it didn't like destroy bits of the Gundam like it was doing here. So again, that just feels like a narrative convenience, unless it was a different thing it was getting shot by.
Magella tank. Magella attack is the name of the tank. But no, it doesn't have it listed separately, so there's that. Magella or Magellan? Magella, as in the star? Either way.
Well, I don't know. It's a transcription thing.
Yeah.
In that it's being transcribed from one language to another in a show where they've already changed the names of locations on Earth to other various versions of them. Oh, Magella Top. That's what they're called. Well, I'm looking at the episode description thing. It says 4 Magella Top attack turrets. So, I guess that's what they're individually called. Yeah, because the link for the Magella Top just goes right to Magella attack tank.
So yeah, I mean, well, she did say that at this point blank range, they couldn't deflect. I don't know how true that is. I mean,
I don't know. That feels stupid. If it's point blank, that means you're getting a little bit of blast back from your own cannon.
I mean, she's willing to die, so you know.
Right. But I mean, if you blow your own cannon off,
yeah,
you're not getting any of those shots. In which case, you're gonna ram him, I guess. We're all willing to ram these days.
Yeah. Ramming always works. Until it doesn't.
Well, I mean, you'll never find out.
Depending on what you're ramming with, you could survive. In this case, no, Rio did not survive, but...
Well, no, I mean, typically, even if you fail a ram, you're not going to survive. But, I mean, it's a hard argument to make because I also know that there are surviving kamikaze pilots who went on to have horrible lives. Not because of, like, injuries or anything. The social stigma of being a kamikaze pilot who survived is apparently, or was apparently, because obviously not modern day, a huge social stigma.
No, double whammy. They failed to do their mission, and also Japan post-war supposedly abhors war. So,
well, I think it's mostly on the failing to perform your mission.
Yeah,
because no matter how you would try to explain it, I guess there's an element of cowardice involved.
Yeah,
in failing to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, any surviving kamikaze pilot's story is going to be different from one another. I'm sure there must be the shame of actually bailing out at the last minute, but there's always got to be a scenario where you just missed and somehow survived the impact with the water or whatever you were going to hit. You know, the woman who jumps out of the plane at 10,000 feet, hits the ground and survives. There's always random miracle chance and everything.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess no other thoughts?
Oh, pretty heavy episode. That's what I would say.
Yep, that I just fucked my way right through. So, if your hate comments down below, I accept all of them. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen at the beginning of an episode that I decided to be funny in, and who was to know that we were going to lose a bunch of people in one episode? I only thought we were going to lose Haemon. Anyway, once again, we've been Stoneface Reactions. I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. And catch us next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?